So in high school, we had this teacher who came from China, and he changed his name. He had a cool Chinese name, and then he changed it, and then it was very uncool. His name, he changed it to Dick Poon, and and you think a lot of people would laugh at a guy with a name like that, but he was a really old guy, so we couldn't laugh at him. So we kind of just respected him because he was so old. And this guy gave me a lot of troubles in class. I was in his, what was it, science class, physics. I was failing out of his physics class. And me and my friend Patrick were humming in the class one day, and we were just humming that song from back in our day, the entertainer. The good old 20s, And, and he hears us humming and tells us that we have to go stand near the windows because he's old too, so that's his punishment. You gotta stand near the window. and, and then so we had to do that for humming. And we just kept humming though because he can't really stop us. We're just standing near the windows and humming. And so this guy, he was very smart, and he's teaching us stuff well beyond what we should be learning in high school. We had one quiz I remember was about Einstein's theory of time dilation, and it had to do with how time changes when you're moving near the speed of light. And I said, sir, what are we gonna use this in our life? And he said, shut up. This is physics. You have to understand physics. That's what it sounded like, And I still didn't understand where we're going to use this nonsense in our life. It's like talking about fractions of seconds being changed because of traveling in space for some reason. It's completely theoretical. And we're learning this in high school. And because he wants to show off that he's a smart teacher and all that. And so one time after gym class, I come into class, and we had just run a mile because we had the mile run in gym class. And I'm all exasperated and dehydrated, and I go and sit down, and I go up to ask Dr. Poon if I can go and get a drink from the water fountain. I'm like, Dr. Poon, can I go and have a drink from the water fountain? And then he says, no, go sit down. You kids have to learn how not to get getting up for drinks all the time. And then I immediately puked all over the desk because I needed to drink something. I was like, oh God, this is it. I'm gonna die of embarrassment. And I didn't die. I just ran off, and I escaped the situation. And so I showed that Dr. Poon for putting me in the corner for humming. And that's the lesson of that story. Don't put people in corners and then tell them that they can't get a drink when they're dehydrated. You have to know what to do as a teacher. So these are just obvious life lessons that become learned as you get older. And he did get older because he's super old. That's the tale of Dr. Poon, the teacher. Yeah, in college. Yeah, I went to college too after high school, and then I had some teachers in college. There was one who was a magician, and he started doing tricks in class to entertain us. And he used to do stupid things like pulling things out of his shirt and stuff, and he's like, okay, one more. All right, class. And then he just had something prepared, like pulling out of his pocket, like he's spending time making shticks for his class instead of learning how to teach. And then this guy was like, he looked like the Nutty Professor. He always had a ridiculous suit on with like a polka dot tie, and he just like shows up and starts doing magic tricks for people. He's like, hey class, how's it going? Well, let me show you something here. Pick a card, any card. Sir, do we have any homework from yesterday? Eight of diamonds. All right. Let's see. Here it is. Sir, I'm failing. I need this credit to pass. And there it goes. I'm like, oh my god. I had this other guy. I don't know where they're finding these teachers. He reminded me a lot of Bill Cosby, and he just rambled on. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. I was laughing a lot, but I didn't get a lot of education out of the course. I failed the course because of the rambling. I remember one thing he taught us. I don't know what it meant, but it was something about an equation, and he was trying to explain it more in a way that was entertaining than was comprehensive. And he was telling me, I wrote it down because it was ridiculous, and he was saying something like, so you see, sometimes you got x equals y, y3 plus x, and he's like, you see, so x follows y, except when it doesn't. It's like when you're following your buddy, you follow them, but then sometimes you don't follow them. Like, what? Not following? Talking about not following? What are you talking about? Like, all of his lessons went like this. So no, sometimes you're over there with the electronic components, and you have the structure of the graphs going up and down like a roller coaster, and you're going up and you're going down, and you're and he never finishes the end of the lesson. And I'm sitting there with an equation on my paper that makes no sense. It turns into a roller coaster at one point. So this one course I took 3 times before I passed it. And on the 3rd time, I had this crazy feminist professor, and she was just angry about everything, and she's just scowling at people. What are you looking at me for? Oh, these are not for you. She's an old lady, and she was so particular about things. You get one thing wrong on a whole page, and she gives you a 0. You're like, nope, there's a mistake. This wouldn't run in the processor. Because we're doing coding, programming computers. She's like, you put this in a computer? No good, so that's a 0. Look, what are you, crazy? It's a whole page of codes right there. All the stuff is right there. I understand what I'm doing, can't you see? And there was, on the exam, there was this guy. He's kind of like one of those big guys who works out a lot, and the teacher sees him with his book wide open during the exam, and right away she comes over and she's like, no, fail, you failed the exam, book is open. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was sitting with the book, and she just kicks him right out. No explanation. He doesn't get to explain anything. He fails the whole course because she's crazy like that. And like, I had to get every single thing right to pass this course, because you have to do that because that's how she is. And I already failed it 2 other times, so if I don't pass again, then I'm out of the whole college program. So that's what I had to do. It was ridiculous. I had those guys. Then you have sometimes, I had this old professor. He looks like he was 80-something, about to retire. And he starts going on stories. Yeah, my first wife had a lot of spark in her, and then we went to the place, and I'm like, sir, get to the materials. He's going on about, if you go on to page 35, you'll see a picture, and you look at that, and what do you see? And take a look. Yeah, I don't know about that one. The last one was just a made-up professor. That's why it doesn't sound very good. I had it in